Do you want to know a great thing to do on a rainy day like today? Well, do Rachel and I have news for you. Every Wednesday through Saturday, 10 to 4, the Skansie house is open for your learn, have fun pleasures. So welcome on in. We're excited to be back after a winter pause. We're going to give you a little bit of a tour and get you pumped for some of the science from the Skansie house digital programs that we plan to do throughout the year. So, dun-dun-dun, we're in a nice historic building here that has been transformed into a visitor center and interpretive center. And we have the lovely Rachel, who's going to tell us some things, because that's what's up.
That's what we do. This is our kitchen. It also doubles as our, what we call our wet laboratory or our aquarium space. We've got 2 tanks up and running in this spot. We've got our Eelgrass Tank right here. This is looking a little slim on fish right now because we're kind of waiting for those nice low tides where we can go out and seine and capture some of our local species, but there are a few sneaky fish in here if you're really close looking.
Rachel.
And there's also, tell us what you
We have a rock covered in aggregating anemones, and you can see this big long one here. This is some binary fission in action, folks. This is the way that anemones can asexually reproduce by essentially ripping themselves into 2. You can see this ripping occurring here.
Stretch really long and then just tear into 2.
So this will be a fun thing to come back and look at. A good reason to come by and visit, see if this anemone has become 2 anemones.
Love it. We should do it count now.
We really should.
How many anemones we have and then count later and see how quickly they're reproducing. That would be fun.
I love that.
But yeah, this exhibit is kind of always in flux depending on what's in season around and what the tides are doing. So this is a really fun exhibit to just peek in on and see what's what. Yeah. I love just staring at this tank because I can find all kinds of amazing things. Like there's some tiny hermit crabs in here. Ooh, here's a hermit crab having a little bit of lunch. You can see. Just trimming the bushes a little bit for us. Thank you, little hermit crab.
Yeah, and for those of you tuning in, we'd love to know where you're watching from and if you have any questions as we go along the way.
Perfect.
Cool. Also, lovely seaweed going on here. This red eyelet silk is a beautiful red algae.
I got a lot of favorites. That's definitely like top 5 algae.
And our lovely eelgrass. Love it. All right, and then we have our touch tank.
Yeah, the touch tank is a really great way for anyone really, but kids especially, to get a hands-on experience with some of these animals. We practice a 1-finger touch, so it's a gentle pet. I like to advise people to touch with the same strength that you would touch your own eyelid. So it's not going to be a poke or a pry, it's not going to be a pull or even a lift. You're just going to pet gently. And that'll keep our little touch tank animals safe and happy. There are also a lot of kind of secret things in here to keep your eyes peeled for. Lots and lots of hermits. And what's interesting about our hermit crabs right now is you can see there's a bit of a battle here going on. What looks to be aggression is actually these little crabs are gearing up to mate. And so the larger male hairy hermit crab is carrying that female's her shell everywhere he goes so that she can't escape. And then when she's ready to mate, he'll be the closest male to her. Some of our other hermit crabs might decide to intervene and say, no, I want to be the partner of her. And so we will watch for those kind of squabbles, and we have lots of ways of separating our animals and making sure that nobody's getting hurt or anything in here. Like for example, in this tank, there are a number of hermit crabs as well. This is kind of the timeout tank for them. Also in here, we've got some large shrimp and prawns. You might have a better view over here. Oh yeah, there's a nice, beautiful coon stripe shrimp. Just a gorgeous species. We've had these for a couple of years now, and they were less than an inch long when we got them, and now they're close to 4 inches. So they are nearing the end of their lifespan, so we'll be very sad when our shrimp are fully grown here.
Yeah, we also have the shiner perch here swimming around. They have kind of that yellow bar on the side of their bodies. They're pretty cute, popping around. Also some sculpins.
Now the sculpins are really interesting because they don't have a swim bladder, so they're either swimming or sitting. And this one is going to demonstrate that perfectly for us. Little perch female, she's gravid, meaning she's swollen with eggs right now. So she will. Did you turn it on?
I didn't know if you double tap it flips the camera. That's a good trick.
Yeah, so she is just waiting for those eggs to kind of ripen. There's another female up on the top there, and they will generally lay their eggs together to give them a bit of strength in numbers. So this poor mama's looking a bit like a tide pool. Oh, here comes the other one saying, hey, no, that's my log. But these animals are really fun to watch. Also in this tank, I don't know if you'll be able to focus on it, but our gunnel is out and about along the back wall there. There is a very snake-like, eel-like fish that also has no swim bladder and just sort of sits on the bottom unless it's actively swimming through the water column. And these gunnels are some of the most funny animals to watch. They just look so ridiculous when they're swimming. They're very elongated animals. They're not true eels, although they do get called eels very often. We don't have true eels here in the Pacific Northwest. It's just too cold, but we have a lot of fish that have taken on that eel-like shape just because it's a really important niche for them to fill. So this is just a great tank to just stare at and look and see what you can see. And really it changes all the time, what's visible and what's out and about. Some of it also depends on whether it's feeding time or not. So our animals they're a little hungry today. We've got their food sitting thawing out, and so they'll get their mid-afternoon meal here in just a second. But let's look at a few other things in the Skansie house. The other really great exhibit that I can spend hours and hours playing with is this augmented reality sandbox. So this is a three-dimensional camera up here from an Xbox Kinect. 3D camera sees what the movement of your hands and what the sand is, how it is shaped, and then projects the topography on it. And when you change the sand, it changes how it looks. So let me kind of demonstrate that for you. I'll make a mountain here, and we'll lift and raise the topography here in the center. And you can see the water that was down below is now flowing off. And then we also have the ability to simulate rain here too. So I can kind of spread my fingers out, and you can watch the rain flow down the sides of the mountain that I just created. The trick for this one is to hold your hands in a fist and then spread them wide, and you have to do it over the height of the box. So if you're doing it down here, you'll just get the topography of your hand showing up on your hand. So you want to do this. And everything's on about a 1 second delay so that your brain can process what's actually happening. When we had it set to instantaneous, you get confused on what you're looking at and what you're doing. So this is a really fun way for us to teach about watersheds. Helps us to visualize that rain falling on any of the land within a watershed is going to travel to the low spots, which might be our rivers, our creeks, our streams, or even the Puget Sound Basin connected to the Greater Salish Sea. So the things that we do on land in terms of like pollution can have an effect on the sea. And then we can change it however we like. Make a river. This is really fun. I'm telling you, I could spend all day here.
Awesome.
Super, super fun. And this is a great spot for little kids because we have these big steps. So the little kids can get right in there and play safely, which is great. All right, let's go to the rest of the house. This is the formal dining area. But what we call our bones room or our microscopes room, because we have both here available for curious minds to do some learning. Most of the information is on these kiosks. You're welcome to flip through, and reading through this will give you everything you need to know in order to read a skull and be able to determine what animal it comes from. So let me do a quick example with this one. This was purposefully not labeled, so we'll see if you can figure out what it is. So I teach people the eyes is the first thing to identify on the skull. So you have two really wide eyes, and they're forward-facing eyes. Eyes on the side would be found on like an herbivore or an animal that has to look out for prey. So this is a really great example. Sideways facing eyes. If we look down the straight of this one, you can really see that their eyes are not pointed straight ahead. But this one definitely is. So the rhyme that I use for remembering that is eyes in front, likes to hunt. Eyes on the side, likes to hide. Then we can take a look at maybe the jaws and the teeth of the animal. So we can look inside here and see, wow, those are some pretty serious jaws and very sharp pointed teeth that come together and work like a pair of scissors to cut through, probably not grass. This is an animal
Carnassial.
that is going to be eating meat. This is a carnivore for sure, and these teeth are called carnassial teeth.
Love it.
Then we've got some features of the jaw. We have this little pocket in the jaw, and you can feel on your own jaw that there's a tiny bit of pocket there where your muscles can attach, and then the muscles are going to wrap around up here to the skull, and then we can feel on our own skull that we don't have one of these crests. Some of our other skulls have really pronounced crests, but that's a place for muscle attachment. So very strong biting animal with big eyes, forward-facing eyes. They're probably a nocturnal hunter, and then a pretty decently sized brain case. So we look at kind of the ratio of how much does the brain relate to the rest of the skull. So how much brain to face ratio really. And this is an okay sized animal. Not quite as smart as you or I, but definitely a thinking creature. And then there's also some interesting adaptations of the skull, like we have these holes here. That's where whiskers will go through from the outer face and straight into the brain, providing some sensory input. On the very back of the skull, we have these weird knobs. These are called Auditory Beulah, and they help these animals to focus sound into their inner ear. So this is definitely an animal that's really good at listening, really good at seeing in the dark, really good at killing, and it's a native species that we have right here in Gig Harbor, and there's been a few sightings in recent years. So you can post in the comments what you think it is, and I'll give you a moment to do that. My kind of dead giveaway is when I turn it like this, and it reminds me of a very famous sports team logo for one of our local colleges. So that might give it away for you there. Anybody guessing it?
Mostly just hellos from Gig Harbor and Oregon and Tacoma.
All right, well, I won't make you wait anymore. This is a cougar skull, or a puma, or mountain lion. They've got lots of different names. Really, really cool cat.
Oh yeah, I think whatever the delay is, we've got the cougar guesses are coming in. So good job, everybody.
Love it. I don't have, well, this is as close to a husky as I have. It's not probably a husky actual breed. It, to me, looks more retriever-y, but you know, I'm no dog skull expert, but we do have this to compare. So we've got our cougars and our huskies represented.
Love it. All right, and then the final thing on our tour here today is indeed the Microscope Station, where you can use our dissecting scope to take a look at bigger things. I personally really enjoy looking at my fingerprints under the microscope. I think that is fascinating.
On a really warm day, you can even see your skin sweat.
I sweat even on not a warm day, so that's fine. But there's different specimens you can place underneath the dissecting scopes. Focus,
really
take a look.
This right here.
Woo!
But this is a really cool way to magnify and just get a closer up view especially for our younger kids. This is a lot easier to use than the scopes. We also have some handheld magnifiers as well, so kids can get in and get a really up close view. All of this is, safe to touch and handle, and we really want it to be hands-on, so we can do that. All the information for operating the dissecting scopes is here on the screens, as well as on the kiosks. And we've just got lots of cool stuff in here to explore.
And then we'll usually set up the compound microscope with a slide or something. Sometimes it's fun scuzz from the touch tank. Right now it looks like It
I
is
think it's some sort of tissue, skin tissue.
hair follicle.
Hair follicle. There you go.
Sorry.
That's a prepared slide there.
Yes, something along those lines. So cool. The skin around a hair follicle. But yeah, we definitely encourage you to come on by the lovely Skansie house. You can make a donation to get some fun things.
Got some postcards, we've got old pins. Yeah, we've got a lot going on here. So we hope that you'll come visit us in person. Again, masks are required in this building. It's a really old house with no ventilation. So we just want to keep ourselves and our other visitors and staff safe. So please wear your mask. We also have a handful if you forgot yours. So